Welcome to this edition of What is Truth? I'm your host, Dave Roever. Today we'll travel south to the famous hill country of Texas. The colorful history of this part of Texas includes the Alamo and the fight for independence from Mexico in 1836. The fight for freedom continues today in the lives of our military men and women in the same hill country at the Roever Foundation's incredibly beautiful Eagle Summit Ranch. Director of the ranch and the Roever Foundation is my guest. We will discover the effects of specialized physical training on the overall recovery and reconnection of our military heroes, our military wounded and struggling men and women. The threefold manifestation of mankind was created in God's image. Life cannot be complete without all three elements addressed and restored: body, soul, and spirit, reflecting our Creator, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. While all ministry should address the spiritual component, today we're addressing the physical component and its value in restoring the whole man. My guest is the director of Roever Foundation and Eagle Summit Ranch, Texas, Matt Roever. Matt has a master's degree in biblical studies. With Jamie, his co-pastor, they lead the Trinity Life Church on campus at Eagle Summit Ranch's beautiful Westover Chapel in the hills. He's been to Iraq and Afghanistan on resiliency tours with me and finds amazing rapport with the troops downrange as well as at the ranch. One of the highlights of his career was building the Chris Kyle Memorial Gym in honor of the American sniper. The interview with Matt is in that beautiful gym and will be coming right up. You do not want to miss this episode of What is Truth? The truth is about to shine the light on the value of the physical presentation of our bodies, a living sacrifice unto Him. I'll be right back. Matt, tell me about your personal road to health. We want to give everybody else health tips and help along the way. But if you haven't personally been down some of that road yourself, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
Instead
sure.
of telling people, do as I say, not as I do, you do what you say.
Yeah, I believe in leading by example, and the voice of experience, in my opinion, is never at the mercy of a man with an argument. So some people can tell you all day what you should do, but until you actually get out there and do it. When I came out of Memphis, Tennessee as a youth pastor, we began to work there in Colorado and things, and be honest with you, I kind of let myself go. And, my weight ballooned up to 351 pounds.
And you know what I think, Matt? Stress, job change, all that going on at one time, raising your children.
Yeah.
That stress had a lot to do with it. But go ahead, we might want to come back to that stress issue.
And, at that moment in time, I really basically just pretty much forgot who I was. And you remember as well too, back in my early years, I was always very active, playing basketball and baseball in particular. I had a chance to, play with I played college ball and, even a chance with a farm club team, with the Reds. And well, it got away from me. Yeah. And as we began to share and teach these soldiers, with all the different things that what we do, talking about spiritual health, mental health, and physical health, it really dawned on me, hey, how can I be teaching and sharing physical health when I was so desperately in need? It was the pot calling the kettle black, and that wasn't going to work. And these guys in particular, they see right through it. Yeah. And because of that, we had to come up with something that was going to work. And what worked was leading by example and going through a real process. In fact, I went to the doctor to say, hey doc, I need some help. And he told me that my triglycerides were the highest he had ever seen. And I had to ask him, what's a triglyceride?
I rode one head through those, right?
Exactly. I had no idea, but my blood sugar was totally off. And if I didn't do something quick, there was a big chance that I could become a diabetic and insulin shooting.
Well, they actually called you pre-diabetic.
Yeah. And so, that was a big deal. But, through some evasive maneuvers, we began an extremely long road, and I started moving. and I have not stopped. And I think that's a big key, is
Well,
once you get going.
there's several things I want to inquire of you while we're on this program together. But let's set the setting where we are. We're in a beautiful gymnasium, a gym that is designed for wounded warriors. I hate to put those two words together because I don't want anybody thinking they're all wounded. They don't like to be called wounded.
No, I don't know.
But injured heroes. And we're not associated with the Wounded Warrior Project. I don't want those to get mixed up.
No.
So we're a faith-based operation. And two things come to mind that I want to talk to you about and ask you about. One is, what role does the physical man play in the tri-unity of the human being? We are body, soul, and spirit today. Because we're in a gym, we're going to focus on the body. But on emphasis of what's most important, the spiritual man, obviously, is most important. The emotional man, the soul, the heart, we call it. All three of those are basically the same word in the Greek. So you have body, soul, and spirit, or spirit, soul, and body. The soul is the pivot for both. And we're in a gym that is a memorial gym to whom?
Oh, right. This gym was dedicated to Chris Kyle.
And it was supported by his foundation. He bought most of all this equipment.
Yeah, he sure did.
And it's truly amazing what he has done to help us before he was tragically and horribly murdered by a man that was dealing apparently with the post-traumatic source of injury.
Right.
And we're going to get to, in this or another program, the difference between PTSD and moral injury,
right.
because that goes to the spiritual side. And we'll get to that later.
Okay.
But I'm setting it up for that. But right now, what is it about this gym? You have upper respiratory, lower respiratory workouts, rolling on the mats with jiu-jitsu, I don't think, and I really think I'm right in this, I don't think I'm wrong to say there's no area of the human physical training that can't be accomplished in this gym.
Well, because there's such a plethora of different injuries that have happened, what we do is we focus on what we can do and leave behind what we can't do. Now, for so many guys, as they were in the war machine, I'm going to say they were the fit. They were the top of the top. They were able to maneuver. They were able to do so many different things. And because of their injury, now they're lost. And they're trying to find out who they are again and dealing with the new you. And one of my responsibilities here at Eagle Summit Ranch is to help them find that new you, to be able to go through back into the gym, because exercise is such a pivotal point, especially in a man's military career.
Right.
Because if they don't pass weight and tape, they can get kicked out. So the PT every morning that they did, well, now it's learning how to do different things. And we have machines that are in here that specifically deal with working lower body, with working upper body, shoulders, one arm, one leg, and then finding out how that we can deal with those things, and then being able to take those muscle groups and teach those muscle groups on how to perform to give that man the best sense of livelihood and to return him back to the man.
Right. That's why we're called Operation Warrior RECONnect.
That's correct. Right?
And we want to reconnect in three areas in the general sense of family, friends, and faith.
Right.
But we also want to reconnect physical man and spiritual man and emotional man to not necessarily to what he was in the spiritual and emotional. That we want to say, don't just reconnect, but grow out of that. But in the physical sense, it's trying to reconnect to get back where they were before they can even grow out of that.
Right.
And so today in this gym, and I'm eyewitness to it, of the number of people, the warriors, that have looked at this equipment and their eyes light up and they say, I'm at Eagle Summit Ranch and I'm going to be healed.
Yeah.
Healing is the end product we're looking for.
Right.
And I also think that our guests should know that as a defense contractor, I've been all over the world. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, UAE, Afghanistan, Iraq, Bosnia, Kosovo, South Korea, all of them.
Right.
But I took you with me into the war zones.
Yeah.
And in those war zones of Iraq and Afghanistan, you personally were connected. I'm going to throw in a little story about you that I think folks they'll find it very deeply emotional. We went up to Jalalabad. Now, it's hard for me to remember some of these names because they're weird. We were in Jalalabad, 1 mile from where Osama bin Laden planned and put together the whole blueprint for 9/11 attack. And they asked us when we flew up there, General Anderson, we were on his helicopter, you, me, and the photographer, and I took another friend, a pastor friend, and the 4 of us got on a helicopter. We went up to Jalalabad. And we went in, and I did a whole training session there on resiliency. And when it was over, we hustled back the helicopter because just before we landed, there was a rocket attack that came into that military base.
I remember.
And it killed one of our guys. And I saw the look on your face when they told us that. Well, I didn't put it together. When we got ready to leave, I'm hustling back the helicopter. I'm carrying all my battle rattle, a helmet, all this extra weight. And now I was at my weight now. I'm at 217 pounds. But I can't walk very good. And it was all I could do to get all the way back to that helicopter. I got up in there strapped in. Well, when he Matt? Where's Matt? And everybody's looking out, where's Matt? And I said, well, it's not like Matt. He's not going to be late. And so somebody hustled back and they came back. The look on their face was stunning. And he said, well, he's a little bit tied up.
Yeah.
When they told me, you take it.
Right. So when we went into the cafeteria, we walked there, and there were all these green bags that were
Sandbags.
Yeah, they're all sandbags. And we went and ate, but I didn't eat very much because it just kept dawning on me that we had that attack that was just.
And he was killed right there at the entrance to that.
And and I looked at myself.
Tell them what it cost to have a meal. They had to do what to get a meal?
Well, you had to fill sandbags.
That's right.
That's what you had to do. And so at that time, we were ushered in, we ushered out, as the guests. So we weren't filling sandbags, but on the way out, I couldn't stop. Everybody else was going, and I went right to the sandbag pile, and I was filling sandbags as quick as I could. And the whole reason behind that was, if I could stop one bullet from reaching one kid, then it's worth it.
He wouldn't have to go through this gym.
Yeah. And so that's what I was doing. And I think we might have gotten in trouble with the colonel a little bit that day, but
when they found out what you were doing,
I was shoveling sand as quick as I could and filling up as many bags and tying them off. And I think there was a captain that was designated to be with me, and I was shoveling, and I'd hand them to him.
He was a major.
He was. That's right. He was a major, and I was passing them off just as fast as I could.
But you know what it said, man? It spoke volumes to the people that we work with. It spoke volumes to them to understand that we cared enough as an organization to be there to start with, and you cared enough to stop one bullet if you could. And those sandbags, they were required to get into that what's called the DFAC. It used to be called mess hall. Right. DFAC is defense facilities. They're trying to give it a little more class. Now back to the gym. That is the connection from the battlefield to the mission field. Our mission is right here in this room on the physical of 1/3 of mankind, of 1/3 of the human being experience of body, soul, and spirit. If we can get them in this gym, and I want every one of you to hear me, we are urgently asking you, even if they're already retired out medically or retired out period for, got their 20 or more in, if they're retired, veterans are welcome at Eagle Summit Ranch. We urge you to get hold of us, and you'll see on the bottom of the screen how to do that. I'm asking you right now, seriously pray about who is hurting, who has served our country and needs help. And if it's emotional, if it's spiritual, if it's physical, we cover all three here. That's what sets us apart, Matt. From all these 40,000 plus organizations out there. There's Tunnel to Towers, there's Wounded Warrior Project, And I don't know how many, right?
Thousands.
Well, 40,000.
Yeah.
I would say maybe 5 or 6 of them are qualified.
Right.
Maybe. Right. Mighty Oaks is doing a good job for the Marine Corps. But I'm telling you, we as an organization almost stand alone with what we do, because we don't just work with them here. What makes us different is we go downrange all the time. I'm 73 and I'm still 73 and I'm still writing contracts with DOD. We're still ministering wherever they send me in the world. We just got back from Germany and England. We were at Rhinestein, and then in England I was at it's called RAF Mildenhall, and it's a U.S. military base on a Royal Air Force Base facility. It's the largest over there, I think, and that's where we fly out all of our refueling jets. But my point is this: you, me, we've been downrange to where they are. We've smelled what they smell. We've seen what they've seen. We've gone through 4. I've gone through 4, and you've gone through 2 attacks while we were airborne in helicopter. What does that do for you to be able to say to these guys, I never signed up because it was peacetime, but I cared enough to go where you were?
Well, it's, for me, to be able to speak, I'm going to call it speak the language.
Yeah.
That's why I chose to go downrange, to be able to see, smell, hear, be a part of. Once again, it's that leadership, but being able to walk down. I mean, what good is it if I'm trying to help somebody and I've never struggled, or if I'm trying to help somebody and I've never been in their shoes?
Right.
And so, through life, we're going to struggle, and
what does the Bible say about it? In this world, you will have troubles. But Jesus said, He didn't say I overcame the trouble. He said, I overcame the world. Yeah. He overcame the source of the trouble.
Absolutely.
And that's key, Matt. And you've been masterful at identifying with the guys. They absolutely love you. And there's something else included in your physical. I think you have something to show there.
Yeah. So it's
really cool to see this.
When just because the part of being able to lead by example, but then also to show I've done it.
Right.
For you in particular, you've been in war. You have, I'm going to call it a medal.
I do have a little medal in me.
Right? And people can relate to that, and they can look at that and they go, wow. Or they say, well, he knows what he's talking about.
Right.
And that's where in leadership for myself, that's what I wanted to do. And so I've done 26 different races, whether they were marathons, half marathons, full marathons, bubble runs, and all kinds of fun stuff. And then I've completed 3 Ironmans. I've entered 3 and completed, and 1 in Colorado and 2 in Texas, and that's what these medals are. But when you cross the line, the finish line is that's where it's at.
I've never seen anything like when you came across that. You had done a total in swimming, bike riding, and running. How many miles?
140.6 miles.
That just blows me away.
Right.
Hell, I can't do 46 yards without stopping and taking a breath and sit down and rest.
Yeah.
But you did it, man. I saw you when you came across the finish line. You were pumping iron. It looked like, and everybody was screaming and clapping and cheering for you.
Right. It was quite an adventure, and we have some video of it, and I think you'll be able to see that here.
Yep.
And we're going to show you a quick picture of it. But it was a moment that I'll never forget. And I love what you said at the end, because I didn't put 2 and 2 together. But why don't you tell the people what you said?
I saw him come across that finish line. I saw him when they entered the track. There was a football field, and you entered way out there, and I could see you coming. I mean, I was waiting for you, buddy.
Yeah.
The whole family was. Everybody's looking for Matt. Where's Matt? And bingo, there you pop up, and you started running down that track, headed toward the goal line, toward the finish line. And as you got closer, I could see you lit up. You were good. You've already done 140 something miles.
Yeah.
And now you're coming across this finish line.
Yeah.
Your arms are pumping. You're laughing. You're crying.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And the Lord spoke to me. I don't hear that voice very often like that. And it's almost like it was audible. And I know God was telling me something that would last the rest of my life. That's what it's going to be like, because we've got people already over there. You got your grandma and grandpa Draper, you got grandma, and grandpa Roever, because when my mom died, dad remarried, so you got two grannies there. And in addition to that, all your friends, you know what? They're up there. They see us coming. They see us coming.
They're in the grandstands.
They're cheering, and they're coming across the finish line. Well, Matt, we're about to run out of time, and I want to thank you. And you're a great person to interview. You really carried it well. But I want the folks to know there's more to come. We have another next week. Matt will be on again, and we're going to take you on some tours. We're going to do all kinds of things out here. We're at Eagle Summit Ranch, Texas. It's near Junction, Texas, a little bit further away from Kerrville, Texas, and about an hour and a half out of San Antonio, Texas, westbound. And we have a lot of our guys come from Brooke Army Medical Center, 4th Infantry Division, even out of Fort Carson. They come from Fort Bragg. They come, a lot of them from Fort Hood. You've met John Arroyo, who was at Fort Hood and shot through the throat. A magnificent guy, great captain in the Green Beret. And I promise you this, we will not bore you. And in the meantime, I want to say thanks again to Matt, but I want to thank you for watching. Please go online and what we call subscribe on YouTube. Please subscribe on our YouTube. I'd be so thankful. We want to build up our viewership on that. We don't know how to check that without you subscribing. So subscribe and be part of What is Truth, because I'm going to tell you now, the forensic search for truth on this program will get into things like we've just been talking about. I'm Dave Roever with Matt Roever at Eagle Summit Ranch, Texas, and I'll be back in just a moment with my commentary, and I don't think you want to miss it. And stay tuned for the last part, because it's really exciting, on the countdown. And the countdown will not always refer to what we're doing here. It has the future in mind. I'll be right back. I have had a great experience being here at the Chris Kyle Memorial Gym at Eagle Summit Ranch, Texas. I want to really say thank you to Matt for a great interview, and more to come. There's several more programs of this. But I really want to focus back our thinking on what was the highlight of our conversation. Did you get it? Running the race. To run the race means you start and you finish. And in this particular race, it's not how fast you run or do you come in first or second. It's finishing. And that finish line was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had, watching Matt come out after 20-something miles, 25, 26 miles, that last 200 yards, coming in on that track. It broke me. I wept, I cheered, I clapped, I cried. And that's what it's going to be like in heaven. They'll be welcoming home every one of us as Christ followers as we finish this marathon of life. I think it's really important too that you understand that there is a reward. Matt showed us those beautiful medals of running those races. Well, there's kind of a medal to be won for this race as we finish the race in our lifetime, or by the rapture and taking away of the church as Christ comes back for his children. What will be the medal? I think it's called a crown of gold, a crown of life. And that's about the best medal we could ever have. I hope this makes sense to you. I know I have a lot of my family involved, my son, my brother, my 2 grandsons, my daughter-in-law, my wife, but look at all the guests we're bringing through. Look at what's being provided. Matt runs a great program here at Eagle Summit Ranch in Texas. I want you to consider, if you have a friend or if you're in need, if you're a veteran, let us know. We're not going to charge you to be here. I would never charge you. This whole thing is designed for you to get reconnected. Operation Warrior RECONnect, Eagle Summit Ranch, Texas. And the information's below, and you can see how to contact us. My comment to you is this: take care of your man, your body, your soul, your spirit. Or if you're a woman, take care of your body. Take care of it. Do the best you can with what you've got, and make it so that you can serve God better in the long haul by having a physically strong body. Eat right, stay off the booze and drugs. You know all that. So I'm very excited. Please go on YouTube and subscribe to our program. Our channel is there for you. and I'll be back in about 1 minute.
Dave Roever is excited for you to have a copy of his book, War and Recovery. War and Recovery is about pain, but it's also about healing. You will laugh.
I was in the top 10% of the lower 1/3 of my class.
You may cry.
Love makes your scars go away. And for some reason, I feel handsome tonight.
But you will be challenged as you read this compilation of vignettes from Dave's life and from the lives of others he has met who have encountered the worst and triumphed. Your gift of $15 will go directly to help Dave Roever and his associates take the gospel of Jesus Christ to young people, members of our armed forces, and many others around the world. Call, click, or write today and request your copy of War and Recovery. And when you do, you'll help Dave Roever and his associates continue to share the life-changing gospel with thousands.
And now for the countdown. On programs past, I've been hitting on some issues that I'll touch on briefly again, reminding us of the progression, deterioration, and encroachment upon our religious liberties. With months of worldwide pandemic and pandemonium, the lessons learned are not pretty. The totalitarianism of local authorities in the state governors, the city mayors, it's frightening. By shutting down travel, controlling who can and cannot open their own businesses, what are vital services and not vital services, and control of the overall economy and handling of currency. Even more unsettling was the tracking of license plates of believers in Kentucky going to Sunday services at their local church. It's reminiscent of the communist control and restriction of churches in Vietnam when the pastor had to get approval from the local traffic cop to preach his message. It then became so perverted it was a joke. Moses and the Israelites were the Vietnamese. The Americans were the Pharaohs, and his army and they were all swallowed up in the Red Sea of communism. That was then and there, but what about here and now? Governmental lust for control was exposed in a matter of days, and the churches are the big threat. Never assume it was not on the horizon of future events to come that this trial-run assault on religious freedom is not coming back again. Gideon's army was reduced to 300 men. Remember what was their qualifying behavior? As they drank water from the creek, they never took their eyes off the horizon, staying alert and aware of the enemy's impending approach. The enemy's at the door, my friend. Governmental cravings for power and control is no different than the one-hit wonder of methamphetamine. The clock is ticking. I'm Dave Roever, and I'll see you in the next edition of What is Truth.